Hi students, this is Ritik sir, your biology SME. So you are well aware of this Brahmastra test series 6, right? So in this Brahmastra test series, which is going to happen in this July 14th, where it will be something like cumulative test series, right? That means all the previous chapters which I have covered, so will be given together in this test series. So based on that itself, I'm trying to, revise the entire chapter in just one shot. But for this plant kingdom, what I did is I just divided them into two parts. So in one part, which has already been uploaded in the YouTube channel. So if you have not yet watched, so do watch them. And this part I'll be covering one is pteridophytes, then the gymnosperms and angiosperms. These are the three things that I'm going to cover in this part. Okay. Yes. So coming to the pteridophytes. So what do you mean by pteridophytes? As you can see that on the evolutionary gap, right? So these pteridophytes, they were the very first terrestrial plants which had vascular tissues like xylem and the phloem. And they were being grown or they were being found mostly in the cool, damp, shady places. So they were being used basically when you see their leaves structure, they basically includes ferns, horsetail kind of structure and used for medical purpose, ornamental value, as well as soil binding. So this is something basics about the pteridophytes. So in the pteridophytes again, as I told, they were the very first terrestrial plant. Okay. So you will be seeing them being a very dominant phase when compared to bryophytes. In pteridophytes, they are very dominant on the land. So the pteridophyte's main plant body that you have been seeing now can be easily identified, and you can actually see the true root and stem leaf structure on the body. So that means in the bryophytes you were been seeing root-like structure, then stem-like structure, leaves-like structure. But whereas in pteridophytes, you are actually seeing the true roots, stem, and leaf structure. This is another very important point. Then in the organisms, the organ possess well differentiated body. Okay. And this pteridophytes, they also bear the sporophytes or sporophytes bearing the sporophytes of these pteridophytes. They bear sporangia. Okay, sporangia, which will be submerged in the leaf. They will be present submerged in the leaf. Uh, Appearance, they are actually called as sporophyte. Sporophytes. See, for example, if this is the leaf, right? So, yes, if this is the leaf, you will see these sporophytes being submerged, okay? Sporangium being submerged on these leaf. So if you take anything which is the pteridophytes basically, so pteridophytes on the leaf, you will actually see this sporangium. So in the pteridophytes, as I told, sexual reproduction happens. So how? Basically, you will see both male as well as female gametes. Okay. So you will see the male gametes as well as female gametes. Right. So male gametes is actually called as antheridium. And coming to the female gametes, it is called as archegonium. Okay. Archegonium. So if it is single, archegonia. and the male also antheridia. Clear? So they represents the individual gametes now. So what happens? These sporangium, uh, right? So which is actually present submerged on the leaf of the which thing that is pteridophytes. So you can see the sporangia here. So they undergo what? Meiosis, which is reduction. So as a result, these sporangium will start producing the spores. At one specific condition, what happens? The spores will get dispersed. So as you can see here, spores have been dispersed. So now the spores will be consisting what kind of gamete, whether it will be haploid or diploid now. Since I have been talking about the reduction, it will be haploid. So now these spores under favorable condition, okay, under favorable condition, what happens? They are going to develop into young gametophyte. So young gametophyte you are getting. So can you see the young gametophyte here? So mature. So younger gametophyte will obviously undergo mature gametophyte. So this mature gametophyte you are seeing, okay. This is the part where you will be observing the both the gametes, that is male gamete as well as female gametes. So one thing is either both the gamete can be present on the same individual or different individual, but they will be present on either the same leaf or different leaf. Okay. I mean, if this is one matured gametophyte, a leaf you are seeing, it is something called as gametophyte. Okay. So what you will be seeing is you will be observing both the male gametes as well as female gametes. So the male gametes, as I told, they are antheridium. You are seeing here or you are observing here. Antheridium, will start producing the sperms. Okay. So antheridium will produce the sperms. There are many sperms again. Whereas you have archaeogonium, right? So can you see the archaeogonium here? Yes. Archaeogonium will be having only one egg. So now what happened? Normal sperms will get entered here. Fertilization will take place where fusion of the sperm and egg takes place directly. After fertilization, you will absorb what? Zygote. Okay. So after fertilization, what you are going to absorb? You are going to absorb the zygote. See, when I'm talking about the spores formation from the sporangium, sometimes the spores which are being produced could be homosporous or hetero. Homosporous means the spore size will be same. And heterosporous means if the spores which are being produced, if their size is not same, we normally call them as heterospores. Anyhow, so we will come back. After the zygote got developed, so zygote will leads to the development of new sporophyte. And sporophyte will all be consisting of what? Gametophyte, that is new plant body. As a result, so this plant body will undergo the maturation. Okay. And finally, you will see the full-fledged plant body development. So these plant body, the leaf, again, it will be consisting what now? Mature sporophyte. Okay. So this is the basic thing about the reproduction and the cycle where in the pteridophytes. Clear? So this is all about what? Pteridophytes. And there are some casual examples or general examples based on pteridophytes. So, yes. So one example that I can give on the pteridophytes is this thing. This is actually called as Silanginella, and this is actually called as equisitum. Then this is actually called as fern, and this plant is actually called as salvina. And there are many plants which come under the pteridophytes. Clear with these things? So this was all about the pteridophytes. Whenever you're preparing for pteridophytes, make sure that you know the availability, where exactly they grow, what is their habit, okay, where exactly you will find them, and what is the speciality of it. For example, in the previous, where when I was talking about the bryophytes, I told they act as and they are the very first amphibians in the plant kingdom. Why? Because they live in both water as well as plants. That's what I have told you, right? So even entire development, everything comes in water itself, and they will actually grow on land basically. And another very speciality of that was they don't have a proper root leaf stem structure. So instead we say they have root like structure, leaf like structure, stem like structure. So whereas in pteridophytes you will now see the proper development where they are said to be the best terrestrial plant possessing the vascular tissues, that is xylem and phloem, so that you can easily see the proper true roots, then stem and leaves. So then about the sporangia, its life cycle, how life cycle happens. So just like bryophytes, they are not independent. They actually be present on the parent body itself. They're attached to the parent body, and then they're going to produce the sporangia. So sporangia will be producing the spore, and later on the life cycle that I have explained. These are very important in the pteridophytes. Sorry, when I'm talking about the gymnosperms, right? So gymno, the word, like if you say gymnos, right? So it's nothing but naked. Okay. And you have the spermus, SPERMS or spermia. So they're nothing but seeds. So that means the plant in which the ovules are not enclosed. Okay. The plants in which the ovules are not enclosed by any ovary wall, and they normally remain exposed both before and after fertilization. So that is called as gymnosperms, where you will see the seeds that are actually not enclosed by any of the ovary wall and remain exposed both before and after fertilization. If you see the normal seed, you will see the hard layer which has been covering around the seed. But those things will not be seen in gymnosperms. So this is one point. Then the size of the plant will be including from the medium size of the plant to the very long tree. Okay, so one such example was the giant redwood. Okay, which is one of the most tallest tree in the gymnosperm. And you will actually see a kind of associations here. Like there are some examples, as you can see some of the pictures on the screen. So can you say the example of these, like what indicates this plant? This plant is cycus, right? So when I'm talking about the cycus, okay, the roots in some of the, some of the plants, they have an association with the fungal association, say mycorrhiza, which is actually, you'll see in, yeah, sorry, I guess this is pinus tree. So you will see a kind of association, fungal association with the pinus. So where on the roots, okay. So you will see these kind of association in the roots of this plant. Then there is another plant called as this is cycus. So this is the out plant, and if you see the root of these plants, you will also see some species of these roots. They are also associated with this bacteria or fungus. So basically, we know they are associated with the bacteria called as cyanobacteria. Okay, cyanobacteria. And what is the function? With the help of that, they are going to fix this nitrogen fixing cyanobacterians there. Okay. So they are nitrogen fixing cyanobacterians. They are going to help in the fixation of this atmosphere nitrogen. So this is one thing. So as you have already seen the leaf structure of these plant, so they are somewhat, and the all over adaptation of the plant is like they can adopt or they will adopt to withstand the extreme temperature, humidity, then wind. Okay, and what type of leaves you are seeing? Something like needle-like structure, right? So these needle-like structure, it is actually going to reduce the surface area. Okay, this is one point. So that more plants will be able to grow. This is one point. Then you also see some, cuticle or shrunken kind of leaf structures can also be seen. So they actually help. That is on the leaf, you will see the cuticle as well as sunken stomata you will absorb. So what this is going to do, it is going to help in the, or it is going to help in the loss of the, reduce of the water loss. Okay, it is going to reduce the water loss through leaves. So this is one of the major important points. So what about the reproduction then? Like how the process life cycle happens, these things that you need to know. See, the gymnosperm, we know that they're heterosporous. Okay, gymnosperms are basically they're heteroporous. We know it. So therefore, they normally produce two types of gametes. One is microspores and the another one is megaspores. So one will be microspores and the another one will be the megaspores. So now since these two types of spores are produced, where they are produced, they are actually produced within the sporophyte. Okay. So they are produced within the sporangia or sporangium. Clear? So this is one point. So now what happens? These sporangium, okay. So they produce within the sporangium and they form a lax. They form a lax or compact strobalium or cone-like structures. Okay. So they are going to be here you can see the pollen cone and the ovulate cone. Okay. So they are going to be two things. One is microporophile as well as another thing will be the megasporosporangia. Okay. So one thing, either they will be bearing two gametes they are going to bear. One is it is actually called as microsporophile or microsporangia, then the megasporangia. These are the two things that they are going to bear. Microsporophile or microsporangia will be the male gametes and megasporangium will be what? female gametes. Okay. So now if you take one of the section of the pollen cone, okay, if you take one of the section of the pollen cone, you'll actually see that the pollen cone, that is the microsporocytes will be present, right? So that is you have microsporangia here. So these microsporangia, when you see them, right, you will actually see this microsporocytes, which is actually what? They are haploid or diploid now. They are diploid. So they will undergo this meiosis reduction to form what? Pollen grains, which is haploid in nature. Same thing when coming to the ovulate cone. Okay. So there, when you take a section of this ovulated cone, you will see the ovule. So ovule is nothing but, so what you will be seeing, you are actually seeing the megasporophyte. Okay. So in the megasporophyte, basically, you will also see the megasporangium. Right. So pollination occurs when a pollen grains, okay, these pollen grains, when they reaches to this ovule. So what happens? You will also see the reduction here also. That is, meiosis will takes place. As a result, you will also see the reduction. So pollination will only occur when the pollen grains reaches to the ovule. And the pollen grains, then what happens? It starts germinating, forming a pollen tube here. Can you see? For example, a pollen grain has came here. So here there is a microphyll region, that is a small opening region will be present, and you have the megaspore here. Okay. So this is what? Megasporangium. And inside this megasporangium, you have megaspore. So pollen grains will reach us to this megasporangium through the micropyle region, and immediately what happens? It starts germinating the pollen tube. With the help of the pollen tube, okay, with the help of the pollen tube, so this sperm, that is the pollen grains, it is going to discharge its nucleus. So again in this megaspore also there will be a presence of nucleus, right? So that is the female gametes. So now this both nucleus will fuse. As a result, you will see the embryo, which is new sporophyte. Okay, as a result, what you are going to see? An embryonic development, that is new sporophyte will be seen. And this is being surrounded by the female gametophyte tissue, which is very rich in the food. So it gives a food supplement. And also it is been surrounded by the spore wall, and you will also see a seed coat. Okay, so which is being derived from the integuments. So that is what these all things explain. So after fertilization, so now you will see that there is a formation of seed. From the seed, what you are going to see, you will be seeing a new plant getting germinated, and the end, you will see the matured sporophyte. Okay, so this is all about how the life cycle of the gymnosperm. Clear. So there is another very important point here. See, what happens is, uh, unlike the bryophytes or the pteridophytes, in the gymnosperms, the male and female gametophyte that we are saying, right? So these male and female gametophytes do not have independent free living existence. That means they normally remain within the sporangia, then they are going to retain on the sporophyte. This is one point. And another thing is the pollen grain is released from the microsporangium, right? So they are being released from the microsporangium. So they are carried through the air current here. That means they are being carried through the wind current or air currents. Okay. So through the wind they have been carried, and their fertilization normally takes place. Towards it has to go towards where it should actually go towards the archeogonia. Okay, the pollen grains are carrying the male gametes through the wind current. Okay, and then they comes in contact with this opening of the ovules, okay, which is the megasporangium. There is an opening. There it comes contacts and fertilization will takes place. So this is all about how the entire process, that is zygote development, takes place. Everything will be studied. So this is all about the how the life cycle of the, what do you say, that gymnosperm. Okay, so I have clearly covered the life cycle of the gymnosperm here. So if you want, you can still take down the points, and if you write like this, right, it will help you to memorize. It will help you to memorize rather than just mug upping and thing. So one thing you should another know, that is very important thing, is when I'm talking about during fertilization, right? So we have this megaspore here, which develops into a female gametophyte. How? Again, it is going to undergo the meiosis division, right? So now it will be containing two or three archegonia, and each of which will form an egg. So either you will be having how many egg, two eggs will be there or three eggs will be there. During the fertilization, what happens? So if the nucleus, the sperm, that is the pollen grains, will discharge its nucleus, right? So one of the nucleus will it develops into a pollen tube, extends and reaches to the female gametophyte, and fertilization takes place. Then what happens? Fusion will happen. So after the fusion, egg nuclei with the fusion with the egg nuclei, zygote development will be seen. So later on, you will also see a new embryo development, right? These all things have been discussed, and while you are reading, these all things you need to keep in your mind. So this was all about the gymnosperm. And the last topic, that is angiosperm. So in anyhow, we will study this in detail in the sexual reproduction in flowering plants, which I have already done, and the video is also uploaded. If you want, you can watch that video once again. If not, I'll also try to revise the sexual reproduction of flowering plants in the coming days. Okay. So in the angiosperms, what happened? So they are the ovules here are not naked now. Okay. So angiosperms, you will actually see a well-developed flowering plant where from that gametes are produced. Male and female gametes are produced in the well-developed flowering plants. Okay, and you will also see the pollen grains and ovules are developed where they have been developed in a specialized structure called flower. There itself they are developed. Okay, then coming to the seed, they are enclosed in a fruit, like they are again enclosed in a fruits. Then they are to be said as the large group of the plant kingdom. Okay, you will see them everywhere. This is another point. And they even ranges from the very small plant to the large tree, which is around 100 meters. Well, one of the example is smallest ulfe to tall tree of Eucalyptus, okay, which is ranges over 100 meters. So they provide basically food. Then they also give you this fuel, and some of the medical importance have been also there, and several other commercial importance are also there. Ornamental values and many important products have been derived from this angiosperms, like perfumes and many things, right? So this is one thing. And again, they have been classified into two classes. One is dicotyledon, and the another one is monocotyledons. Okay, so this is all about the angiosperms. Like if you see some plants bearing flowers and all, they comes under the dicotyledons. I'm talking about monocotyledons. It's all about grasses, some plants. So they all comes under the monocotyledons. Cool. So this is all about the angiosperms, and yeah, this completes your entire chapter on the plant kingdom.